welcome to this episode of Sunny Silver Linings. As always, we have Sunny with us, and my name's Todd Billier. For those who don't know, this week we are super excited to have our EOS implementer, Mr. Ryan Giles, join us. For those who do not know Ryan, well, you should, and you certainly should be following him on LinkedIn because this man puts out some incredibly great and educational video content. But Ryan, thank you for being here. Why don't you give us a quick introduction?
Sure, Todd. Thanks for having me, Todd. Thanks for having me, Sunny. So my name is Ryan Giles. I am a certified EOS implementer. But before that, I ran and owned an MSP in the Gulf South area for 15 years. And man, we had ups and downs, between hurricanes and floods and 9/11 and the economy of 2008. We lost more than half our clients twice, but we always came through those disasters stronger because we had a plan and we knew how to execute. And so I now have the privilege of helping other companies do that, kind of create a plan for the good days and also those plans for the bad days. And so as a certified EOS implementer, I've helped dozens of clients kind of go through COVID. And as we're still going through COVID, kind of coming out stronger. But I've also seen a few companies who refused to do what it takes and didn't execute or didn't set goals very well. And so I'm excited to talk about some of the things I've seen work and some things that don't work.
So Todd, while I know Ryan helps a lot of companies, his favorite company to work with is IT by Design.
Of course.
Big smiles at IT by Design. So
yeah.
Ryan, let's go ahead and jump right into it. You mentioned COVID. What are some of the issues you've seen come to light here as this COVID situation continues to move through here in 2020?
I've been surprised at how few companies really know their numbers well. My smallest client's 5 employees. My largest is about 1,200. And I've been surprised at how poorly they were ready. They didn't know what their numbers were. They were looking at old data. And then that's led in many cases to them just simply not being ready. One of my mentors, Gino Wickman, he loves to talk about the 10-year business cycle. He says that in every decade, your business will have 6 good years, 2 really, really good years, and then 2 really bad years. And I think that a lot of companies had been living as if it was the best time ever and things were never going to change. There's a Warren Buffett quote that says, when the tide goes out, you get to see who's been swimming naked. And I think we are seeing now that a lot of MSPs were swimming naked, that they weren't ready for this. And so we need to be ready. We need to have that rainy day fund, at least 3 months of cash reserved to survive when things like this happen. Because, I was talking to a business just a few days ago and they said, Ryan, we had a hurricane, we had COVID, we had some other regional disasters. They said, it seems like these once in a lifetime disasters are happening about every other year now. And so if we are ready, we can weather these storms, weather these rainy days, but so many people were not.
Yep. Thank you. And Sunny, you're, obviously you've had your MSP 17 years for those who may not know, but you're also a member of multiple peer groups. What are you hearing from your peers, the impact of COVID-19 has been for them?
Yeah, Todd, thank you. I'm having a lot of conversations with my peers, our partners, since this COVID started in March. And what I'm discovering is a lot of MSPs, they did not focus on MRR or recurring revenue. And that is key to have to streamline your revenue and expenses. And if you look at above the line expenses, if you don't have a majority of your revenue coming as recurring revenue, it's very hard to run your business. Break-even analysis that is so important when you look at numbers. That's one thing that I see that is very. It's a bigger problem than I expected in the MSP channel. The other piece is not having a mature system in terms of strategizing and execution. So having a structure to pivot to have high tolerance level to changes that can come with all these disruptions that happen around us.
Excellent. A lot of that, go ahead, Ryan.
I was going to say, Todd, that would be a great takeaway. If you're an MSP listening or watching this, go create a weekly scorecard number that says what's your turning point. In other words, what percentage of your expenses are covered by your recurring revenue. Just for easy math, let's say your monthly expenses are $100,000. you need to have 100,000 MRR coming in every month and measure that. I talk to so many MSPs who they doing 10% of their expenses with recurring, they're barely have any MRR. So you need to get that MRR percentage up, 80, 90% or 100% of your turning point. That's the goal.
Absolutely. And part of that is having that vision, the alignment, and, being able to execute against that. And Ryan, are you finding that the partners that come to you, is that kind of where they're struggling?
In many cases, it is. I've heard this for years, and I've proven it to be true over the last decade or two. Most people already know what to do. They just don't do it. When in my MSP, we laid out our plan, like how we start working with a client up until we get them onboarded and they're happy, and the tools and everything that we use. And we had this document that was really kind of our secret sauce. And as we'd go out on sales calls, I would show it to a client or a prospect, and then I'd take it back with me. And finally, one day I said, what would happen if I left this? But I was afraid that it'd fall into the hands of our competitors. But I blew caution to the wind, and I started leaving it behind. And I realized that even if we gave our competitors our playbook, most of them don't execute well. And so I would say most people know what to do. One problem I have seen, though, in many cases, the owner, they'll go home at night, grab a cocktail, grab a notebook, and try to write out the plan for the company. This is a team sport. You need to create that vision as a team, and then we need to get aligned around it and start executing on it. And now is not the time to learn how to execute. Trust me, if you're not doing it well, there's no better time to start than now. But the best time to start, the old Chinese proverb, the best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. The second best time is today. This is one of these things that if you already had a plan in place and you were already good at executing, you're going to be in much better shape than someone who's just trying to figure that out now. But today is better than tomorrow.
Great advice.
Yep. And Sonny, here at IT by Design, we definitely run by our numbers, Ryan's first point, and we absolutely have a lot of plans. And have you found that is a key to helping yourself grow? And, in your peer groups, are you finding the more successful MSPs have those plans and they know those numbers?
Yeah, I think normally we have more plans than what we need. But what we sometimes don't have is a proper framework and structure to have plans and execute well on those plans. And that's what changed when Ryan got involved with IT by Design. We always had plans. We had probably more plans than what we needed. But with the EOS system and the structure that Ryan helped us implement at IT by Design, that gave us a framework, that gave us discipline, a system and discipline to execute well on those plans. And that was, it made an impact in a way that it freed up a lot of my time. We're now in this COVID type of situation or during this, during crisis, a leader needs to focus more on culture and innovation and staying close to people that are writing checks to you. And the only way I was able to do those three things well in the last 3 months is because we have EOS system, is well implemented system that helped me stay focused on the right priorities.
Absolutely.
That reminds me, if I can. Sorry, real quick. That reminded me of two great points. I love that what Sonny just said. And the first one is my favorite quote by the great philosopher, Mike Tyson. He said, everyone has a plan until they get punched in the face. And then another great quote by General Patton back in World War II said that a plan is useless, but planning is everything. And just like Sonny said, knowing how to plan is so important because, listen, the beginning of March, nobody really knew what was coming. And a lot of my clients had great plans, and then boom, COVID hits. And the clients that we dove back in, we updated the plan, and we immediately started executing the new plan. Man, those companies are light years ahead of everyone else right now. So knowing how to plan as a team, knowing how to execute, that just can't be overstated.
Excellent. During our prep, we talked real quick about the need for diversification and how that's really important as different issues pop up, be it 9/11 or COVID. You want to kind of speak to that a little bit about why it's important not to be so verticalized and, niched out?
Mm-hmm. Yes, and that's a great point. When in my early days as an MSP, we did everything. Just like you, Todd, earlier mentioned, an inch deep and a mile wide. That was us. That was totally us. And we tried to be everything. In fact, one of our old sayings was, "Hey, we'll cut your grass if you pay our hourly rate." That's not a good business philosophy. And we made the mistake. In fact, when we started EOS, I counted our offerings. We had 27 offerings. Managed services was one of them. And so we weren't focused at all. Once we got focused and we really got clear on our niche, which was managed services, we could really get clear. And we stopped doing web design. We stopped doing some other things that we had done for decades. But we almost took it too far. We almost said, okay, we're just going to niche into the vertical of medical. That was a big specialty of ours. And we thought about it, and thankfully we said, that might be too narrow. And so we spread it out. We were doing a few others, medical and construction and accounting and a few others. And thankfully we did, because a few years later, in our local region, 2 major hospitals moved in and bought 47 medical practices. 40 of those 47 were our clients, and immediately didn't stay with us anymore because they were purchased by a large entity with their own IT provider. So if we would have just niched in medical, that would have been crushing. And so knowing to diversify, knowing that we need to be broad enough that we can survive disasters. I've got clients now that we talked, and they had previously been in one vertical, and that vertical was deemed non-essential. So thankfully they had spread out into more industry, or they would be hurting right now. So I definitely think diversification is key.
And Sonny, I know you're a big fan of being diversified. You want to kind of share some of your thoughts?
Absolutely. Diversifying is so important, Todd. So on our managed IT practice side, we had some clients that were in the hospitality industry. Now we have zero revenue from those clients, even when we had managed service agreements 2 years, 3 years. Now, if we didn't have diversification in terms of vertical, then we were going to be in trouble. So we have hedge funds, we have marketing companies, and we have marketing companies not only in one vertical. Then for example, one of the PR firm that we service, they were in travel and tourism. Now they're struggling, but then we have other PR, marketing, sales firms where they are not in travel and tourism, they are in life sciences. Now, having your customer, your verticals, not having your eggs in one basket is so important. And even when I talk to other MSP partners, where they are struggling because they had one vertical. For example, one of our partner, they were in dental practice support. Now, with the last 3 months, that their end customers being closed, we're not getting much tickets. And even for them, it's hard to run their business without having their clients open. So it is so important to know who are your clients, which vertical they are in. You need to diversify. You need to even have product diversification. If one of your product is not doing well, you have another product that is doing well, so that you need to have product diversification and target market diversification.
Excellent. Thank you. I want to make a quick pivot here to speaking about, the execution, the vision, and the planning. One of the things that I'm really impressed by the changes, I've seen here at IT by Design is as we implemented the EOS system, and how, by having that in place before the COVID crisis hit and everyone went home, we were still able to function as a team because we had the weekly L10s, the weekly same pages, the daily huddles, and how that really minimized the impact. And Ryan, have you seen that being common amongst your clients?
Definitely. In fact, many of them have said, the P word, the pivot. They said EOS was instrumental in helping them pivot, while at the same time still continue to do what they do. EOS, the entrepreneurial operating system, it is an operating system. There are other operating systems. There's one that we kind of jokingly call Genius with 1,000 helpers, and a lot of MSP owners would fall into that category. They used to come in every morning, they'd bark out some orders, and then they would kind of leave. What does somebody call it? Seagull management. They come in, poop over everything, and then leave. And that's kind of how a lot of MSPs have run. And so EOS gives you that structure, that system to use in place of that, so that we're spreading out the load and delegating and elevating and building our team and building that plan. And if you don't have that, a lot of people, and especially in crisis, they fall back to old habits. And so EOS has kind of allowed them to keep it going and keep that accountability and communication. And at the end of the day, the execution is strong.
And Sonny, how have you seen EOS, help us here at IT by Design from that senior levels?
Yeah, so it gives you a system, a strategy, and then helps you with kind of developing your leadership layer, because that's the only way. So as an entrepreneur, your number one job is to create capacity. And that starts with the leadership capacity, right? Majority of companies will have leadership deficit, and this system allows you to build your leaders as well. And for example, weekly L10, IDS, and everything else, it's a great opportunity for your leaders to learn, and it's called action learning. And while you're solving problems together as a team, it gives you a strong foundation to develop your leaders and increase that capacity that you need to have as a business.
Absolutely. And as we did our call prep earlier, you also mentioned how by implementing it was able to remove you from the day-to-day and focus on, those areas. You want to kind of talk to that a little bit?
Oh, yes. That was a big thing for me, because I was so involved with day-to-day. And now with the system, it allowed me to focus on my visionary role, which I was not able to as much as I wanted to prior to the system. Now, from March 16th, when we had work from home, this system saved us with all the L10s and everything, the daily huddles. Everyone stayed in sync no matter where they're working from. Just because of the system being there, it helped us stay connected and continue to move in that one direction. On top of that, it allowed me to focus more on bigger picture initiatives, special visionary roles, which is new products, new markets, culture as a CEO of the company. So culture team, innovation team, making sure that I am having some conversations with our partners, owner to owner conversations, so I can bring information back to make sure that we are, as a business, we are adding right value to our partners. And if they need something, they know that I was there for them. So who are we going to remember post-COVID? People that stood with us in this tough time. So now majority of my partners, they know that I was there as a resource for them. And what allowed me to give that time and focus there is the structure, and then having a proper leadership layer where I didn't have to spend too much time on day-to-day.
Excellent. This has been a great episode, I have to say, but I think it's time we bring this plane in. So Ryan, for those who are not connected to you, where's a great place to find you? And, I understand you're launching a new website with some resources, if you want to talk to that real quick.
Sure. You can normally find me at www.tractionstrong.com. And I've had so many comments and questions lately in this COVID world we're in now, that I have a new site, recessionimmunity.com, with some free tools to help you plan for tomorrow, so that the next time one of these once-in-a-lifetime events happens, you'll be a little bit better prepared.
All right. And Sonny, why don't you share some parting wisdom that I always look forward to?
Yeah. So having a system is number one thing, right? And then once you have the system, that foundation, then you can have right people working in that system. And then having a strategy, having your people, having your system is key to success. And during this COVID time, as a business owner, it is so important to make sure that we are thinking future and we are thinking that new way of doing things. In general, technology companies always need to innovate. And if you don't innovate, you become irrelevant very soon. With the change that's coming, is so fast right now. What was supposed to happen in next 5 years happened in the last 3 months. It is so important as a technology company to innovate and innovate fast. So innovation team, having that innovation initiative in your organization, having your culture initiative, because people are going through a lot with that emotional turbulence that they're going through because of everything happening around them. Your culture needs to be very strong, and you need to be intentional about your culture. And then third piece is having the right value addition. Actually, over servicing your customer, your partners, will help you not only survive but thrive. And personally, as leaders, what we focus on is 3 Ps: staying positive, staying present, and staying productive. And productive is innovation team, culture team, and staying close to your customers so you know what value you're adding and what they're looking for. That is my advice to all business owners, and especially MSP owners.
Thank you, Sonny. Thank you, Ryan. Appreciate it. This has been a great episode. And I want to say a special thank you to those who are listening or watching this particular episode. And we look forward to seeing you all on the next episode of Sunny Silver Linings.
Thank you, Todd. Thank you, Ryan.
Thank you.